Hi, this is Anita Nowak for Empathic Action, shooting live from Beverly Hills, California, right outside the head office of Participant Media, which is the brainchild of Empathic Action hero Jeff Skoll. Why do I think he's a hero? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Jeff. Jeff Skoll was born in Montreal to a middle-class family. His mom was a teacher and his dad owned a small company that sold industrial chemicals. When Jeff was a teen, the family moved to Toronto and he began to pump gas to save money for college. Two important things happened during his youth that shed some light on why this multi-billionaire has devoted the last 15 years of his life to social impact work and is considered one of the world's most creative, generous, and important philanthropists of our time.
Then one day, something jolted me out of my complacency. Out of the blue, my dad came home and announced that he had cancer and that it looked pretty bad. And then he said something that has stayed with me to this day. He said he wasn't so much afraid that he might die, but that he hadn't done the things that he wanted to with his life. Fortunately, my father is still alive today, but his words were a wake-up call, and they set me on a mission. I was going to make a difference.
Second, Jeff was a voracious reader, and the books he devoured on summer camping trips with his family included the works of Ayn Rand, George Orwell, and Aldous Huxley. All of them aroused grave concern in Jeff about the direction the world was heading: overpopulation, competition for resources, nuclear weapons, plagues, and wars. This is why Jeff wanted to become a writer, to tell stories and get people engaged. But he didn't believe becoming a writer was the best way to earn a living, so instead he became an entrepreneur. He studied electrical engineering at the University of Toronto, and after graduating, founded a quasi-successful computer rental business called Micros on the Move. Aptly named, Jeff jokes, because people kept stealing the computers. In search of better management skills, Jeff completed an MBA at Stanford. And a telling sign of what was to come, Jeff became co-editor of the business school's student newspaper, often writing about the gap between the rich and the poor in the world and what his generation could do about it. In 1996, Jeff met Pierre Omidyar, the founder of eBay, who hired him to draft a business plan for the company. You might find it interesting to know that many early eBay critics doubted that people could be trusted to buy and sell things online from strangers. But Jeff and Pierre persevered, believing in the basic goodness of people, a core belief that Jeff continues to hold to this day. 2 short years later, after joining the company as its first full-time employee, eBay went public. Jeff was 36 years old and became an overnight billionaire. So what did Jeff do next?
At that moment, I realized I had far more resources than I could ever do with, there's only so much you need for your life and your family and your community. And I resolved to try to tackle the biggest issues in the world. So the frame is issues that reflect whether mankind will survive into the next century, and better still, will thrive beyond that. And so the vision is to live in a sustainable world of peace and prosperity.
This led to the creation of the Skoll Foundation, an extraordinary organization that supports social entrepreneurs around the globe. He landed on the idea of investing in, connecting, and celebrating social entrepreneurs as a result of a conversation he had.
I had a meeting years ago with a fellow named John Gardner, who was Lyndon Johnson's Minister of Health, Education, and Welfare. He was responsible for the Great Society programs of the 1960s. And, eBay had just gone public, and I had all this money, and I was like, what am I going to do with it? I remember asking him, if I were thinking about how to make a difference in the future of humanity, what should I do? And he said, bet on good people doing good things. He saw, and I began to see, that there were people who were fixing the problems in society that were different. They were individuals who were dedicated to solving literacy or the health system, education, saving the rainforest. And they needed a different kind of backing. And that was kind of at the dawn of what became known as social entrepreneurship.
Jeff took that advice to heart. He provided funding to Oxford's Sade School of Business to establish the Skoll Centre for Social Entrepreneurship and helped launch the Skoll World Forum, an annual gathering of 1,000 social innovators and changemakers who come together to learn from one another and inspire each other to new heights. 3 years ago, I attended the forum, and one of the highlights for me was chatting about empathy with Annie Lennox. This year's forum happened just a few weeks ago, and the theme was none other than fierce compassion. Sounds a lot like empathic action to me. And if all this weren't enough, one more reason Jeff Skoll is an empathic action hero is that he launched Participant Media, a company dedicated to entertainment that inspires and compels social change. So even though we're working at different scales, Jeff and I have something really important in common. He believes in the importance of storytelling, and that through storytelling, he can inspire people to create social change in the world. Participant has released more than 70 films that have collectively earned 50 Academy Award nominations and 11 wins, including this year's Best Picture for Spotlight. Other films you may have seen include Contagion, Lincoln, The Help, Syriana, He Named Me Malala, Charlie Wilson's War, The Kite Runner, Citizen4, Food Inc., and An Inconvenient Truth. But not only does Participant Media produce outstanding films that raise awareness about social issues, the company is also committed to creating social engagement campaigns for each film it produces through their Take Action platform. And Participant Media launched Pivot, a TV network for passionate millennials that encourages viewers to connect and make change happen. It's remarkable what Jeff has accomplished, and he's only 50 years old. Now granted, this channel is devoted to everyday empathic action heroes, which is certainly not how I would describe Jeff. But I couldn't resist sharing his story to highlight 3 takeaways. First, thanks to his dad, Jeff made a conscious decision to use his time, talent, energy, and yes, money, to create positive change in the world. We can all do that. Second, thanks to eBay, Jeff's belief in the inherent goodness of people was proven right. Let's reject the false idea that humans are inherently selfish, because we aren't. Third, thanks to Gardner, Jeff invests in good people doing good things. Gratefully, the world is full of good people, and the community of do-gooders is growing every day. Thanks for watching Empathic Action, and I hope you'll join us next week on Mother's Day, when we recognize and celebrate empathic moms. Until then, remember that anyone can become more empathic with practice. So be on the lookout for empathic action opportunities. They're everywhere.